Have you ever feel like you're constantly putting out fire, right? And managing tantrums and feeling exhausted and wondering why your children don't listen to you? You're not alone. As a parenting coach, I have worked with many well-meaning, well-educated parents on these issues. So clearly, it is not a problem of not knowing with these parents. It is an issue of misunderstanding and misapplying the techniques. Today, I will talk to you about an approach that was so transformative for me in my own parenting and have been so helpful with a lot of my clients in managing these tantrums, these meltdowns, and creating a great connection with their children. Hi, if we haven't met yet, I'm Dr. An Le. I am a certified life coach and a certified parenting educator. And I have worked with many parents on how to create a positive connections with your children while guiding them to develop valuable life skills in the long run. Today, let's come back to this very transformative way of looking at parenting. And by the way, when I talk about discipline, I mean teaching, because that's what it really means. Not punishing, not making kids feel bad about who they are or what they do. All about teaching. And when we talk about teaching, we need to talk about when your children are ready to learn, right? We could be talking for 2 hours, but if they're not there, they're not receiving, they're not perceptive, then we have not taught them anything, okay? So the first thing I want you to think about is you are the teacher, your children is the learner. You need to understand the learner to be able to have effective teaching relationship. That is where the whole brain child parenting approach come in. Obviously, there's a book on it. Feel free to read it. It's very practical. I loved it, and I have used a lot of the techniques in my own parenting. It's really helpful. But today, I was just going to give you some quick tips that have worked really well for me based on this. But first thing first, let's talk about what is the framework of this approach. Basically, the approach is to understand where your children are at in terms of their brain development. And when we talk about the brain, obviously, it's way more complicated. Neuroscience is a field that I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in, but we don't have to, right? As parents, you don't have to be a counselor. You don't have to be a therapist. You don't have to be a neuroscientist to be a good parent, but having a base understanding and learning from the real experts is one way that we could learn some good parenting skill. So in this approach, what they talk about is that your brains basically are divided into different regions with different that specialize in different functions, right? So in particular with your children, there are two parts of our brains, the left and the right hemispheres. And basically the left one is more analytical, more logical, and are better at problem solving. The right brain is more emotional, intuitive, more reactive. And in children, the right brain is a lot more dominant, a lot more active than the left one. So that could be explaining why they seem so emotional, up and down like a roller coaster everywhere all the time, right? And so that's the part of it is to help them to integrate the two left and right brains together. Then vertically, in children, the part of the brain that they usually grow from downstairs to upstairs. The downstairs are the part of the brain that like the brain stem that control basic function like breathing, your heartbeat, and things like that. And then the next level that develop is your more primitive, reactive brain, where, more about safety and emotions. And it's very powerful when it's perceiving a threat. It is very quick too. It's a lot quicker than our prefrontal cortex here of the thinkings and all the problem solving happen, right? So there's a more mature part of the brain. So the upstairs brain is more mature, more sophisticated, more empathetic, more relational, and it's usually more active when we feel safe and connected. That's the key. That's the key in discipline, is that because our children's brain, as this part upstairs is so underdeveloped, that as parents, our role is to help them to build their upstairs brain in a positive way. They have the capacity for it, just like for language. We all have the capacity for language, but depending on what kind of cultures we're from, what kind of language we have been trained in, we tend to speak one language better than others. So the thing with the upstairs brain is that we all have the capacity for it. But as parents, you start the guiding process early, then it's help them to build a more positive upstairs brain that's more connected, more regulated. Okay? Basically, that's it. So what happened in a tantrum? What happened in tantrums? In the book, they use this model of the brain in the palm of your hands. This is your brainstem. This is your emotional part of your brain that develop next. And then this is the top is your frontal cortex. This is where more sophisticated thinking, problem solving, empathetic, social, emotional skill happen. This is like your alarm, your smoke alarm, danger. And this part is very active, very well developed in children, where this part of here is like almost non-existent. It's only fully developed in about our late 20s to 30. So when in the tantrum, in the meltdown, what usually happens is they flip their lid, right? They flip their lid, and this is hijacking the whole system. And that's why it's so hard for them to calm down. It's almost impossible for them to listen to our logical explanation. No, you shouldn't have candy because it's going to be bad for your teeth. It's going to be bad for your health. It doesn't make sense to them because they don't have the capacity to understand that logic. What usually also happens in a meltdown situation is our lids is flip. Right? Children are so good at pushing out buttons. They could be our wounds in our own childhoods, our own fears. For some reason, our flip is also, our lid is also flip. So then we have two dysregulated brains talking to each other and escalating each other. That's why it keeps happening over and over again. It's not that they don't listen. It is that we are not helping to build a skill for them to resolve this moment in a constructive manner. So now that we know about that, what we should do instead of just trying to talk them out of it or trying to force them to do something, what really works is for us to first keep our lid closed. They're flipping, they're saying, they're kicking, they're crying, they're screaming. If you don't flip your lid, you could still be their rock. You could still be their calm in the storm. You could still be their anchor. And then you help them. You help them to regulate their emotions. If they're just totally out of control and safety is a concern, you know what to do. You come in, you bring them to safety, you keep everybody safe, and then you stay with them until they could calm down enough to start talking about their feeling, to help them name the feeling. You are just so angry. That was so unfair, was it? You don't have to agree with it. All they want to hear is that you are trying to understand them, that they feel safer with you, so they be more perceptive to connect with you, setting yourself up for the next step. But first, you need to be able to keep your cool and empathize with them. Remember, you need to be able to access your frontal cortex to have empathy, to have true empathy, to say, oh, that was so hard. You're really upset. Your sister kept taking your toy, right? They might say, yeah, and you always take her side. Now you have more understanding. And also for them, once you're able to say it, to be validated, to be held, to be witnessed by you, then they're starting to calm down. And then you know it's time for connection. Then you come in and you use connect before correct. You said, you were so frustrated, you were upset, so you threw the toy because it feels so bad in your body, right? And then they say, yeah, that's right. Then you said, oh, okay. Remember how we talk about safety and how we talk about hands are not for hitting, it's for helping? I wonder, what else could you do? There, you are easing into the problem-solving process, right? So that's the problem-solving process is an upstairs brain. You need to build the stair to go up to the upstairs brain. Otherwise, they are stuck in here, right? Even though if you yell at them, if you give them in timeout, they might stop the behavior, but they didn't learn any skill. They didn't learn any skill. They just store that information in their downstairs brain. So next time it happened again, they become reactive again and flipping their lid, right? It might take more time at the beginning to do emotional coaching, to work with them using your understanding of their brain. But in the long run, it's really helped them to build a sturdy, a stable, solid stair to go up into their upstairs brain so they could access those skills when they need to. Teaching upstairs brains is actually a very important part of parenting. They don't just know how to do problem solving. They don't even just know how to make decisions. They don't know how to share. Those are skills that we could teach them. And how do we teach them? By giving them opportunity to practice making choices, coming up with their own solutions, repairing their mistakes, ideas to repair their mistake, and how to calm themselves down. Right? We could give them suggestions, we could show them some videos of what to do, but ultimately we want them to choose what works best for them. And that's how we teach them the skill that we want them to have. They are not going to have it. They are not going to just learn it if we keep modeling the wrong kind of skill. That's why it's so important for us to keep our cool, to keep our lid closed like this, so we could be flexible and attentive to what they need in the moment, right? Really, there's a lot of good techniques in that book that you could look for. But basically, in the moment of meltdowns, you could use movement, you could use a redo situation, you could use ask them questions to engage their brain instead of just shouting directions at them. Ask them questions and take time for training. Take time for training. Ask them questions to say, oh, what do we do next? Oh, next time it happened, what should we do? Oh, what if it doesn't work? Oh, yeah. And repeat it. Repeat that experience and instruction multiple times until their brain is ready to use that regularly. That is the key, right? Patience and repetition and training. This week, imagine yourself take 3 slow deep breaths whenever you're starting to feel your emotion racing and you're about to flip your lid. And remember, 2 flipping lid is not going to solve any problem. It's just going to escalate the power struggle and end up in both of you feeling defeated. And next time, take 3 slow deep breaths and exhale slowly. So you could think of a way that you could pause before responding to your child emotions this week. Okay, it starts with you. There's a lot of tools out there, techniques out there that we could talk about, but will only work as well as you are willing to work on your own emotions and behavior. All right, so I will leave you with one quote from Dr. Dan Siegel, the authors of this book. When you connect the emotional and logical sides of your child's brain, you help them grow into their fullest potential. They are both important. They are both helpful. As parents, we help them to integrate, to know when to use them appropriately, to help them reach their full, rich potential. All right, so this is one of my favorite videos to do because this was so life-changing and transformative for me. So I hope you get the books. I hope you learn some techniques. You could also comment down below what works well for you. If you have more questions, you could also put it in the comments. Thank you for watching.